All right. Welcome to the Rise Up podcast. I'm your host, Jonah Mitchell. And on this show, I do my best to help you rise up to your potential and make it easier for you to get out of your own way when it comes to getting to your health and weight loss goals. Because a lot of this stuff is a lot simpler, a lot easier than we make it. And we tend to get in our own way because of we don't understand something. We have certain beliefs or rules that we've given ourselves that we aren't aware of. And really, I just want to help give you the perspective that's going to help you ultimately get to where you want to go and not make your life revolve around it. And really just help amplify everything that you have going on and just amplify your life in general. So I really appreciate you taking the time to hop on with me. Today is going to be a relatively shorter episode, but I hope you still find it valuable. If you enjoyed this episode, you want to see more of my videos, all of that is going to be in the show notes. And if you learned something, if I help shift the perspective, I really appreciate it if you shared this with this show or this episode with at least one person, because it genuinely gives me a lot of it makes me feel good to be able to help you no matter where you're at. And even if I never speak to you directly, I always love getting a chance to even make a small impact. And if you share and tag me on social media, I love being able to connect with you. And yeah, really appreciate really appreciate it. So yeah, let's dive into it. Let's talk about what it takes, or what should you do when it's been a long time and you're just trying to get back on track, right? Life has kind of thrown you for a win, throwing you. What is the saying? I cannot think today. Life has thrown you through the hoop. I don't think that's the thing. I don't think that's a saying, but life has been hard. Let's say that. That's just as English is hard, life has been hard for you. And it's been a long time since you've been able to really get things going in the right direction, be as consistent as you would like. And you're just trying to get back in the swing of things. Maybe you had a certain level of physical fitness that you want to get back to. Maybe you had a certain physique that you're looking to improve on, or maybe you just want to start taking care of yourself. It's been hard. There's some possible new lifestyle scenarios that are affecting the way your way of life, and you just want to get back in the wagon and just start taking care of yourself a little bit better. So how do we get started? How do we get back on track after it's been so long? And really, I love giving kind of steps and progression in a way that makes sense, because a lot of times when we get stuck in this or we find ourselves in situations like this, our old normal is no longer the case. Like, a lot of people compare what they were doing in high school or college to them now, when they have a full-time job, when they have children. And it's very difficult to have the same time and energy to do all the fitness stuff, pay attention to your food when you're taking care of a life, and you're probably and you're married, and you're taking care of, you have so many more responsibilities, let's say, right? And we often get stuck comparing ourselves to where we used to be, to compared to where we're at now. But again, we don't give ourselves the context and understanding of, like, well, this is not the same reality that I was living in. I always think back, like, I would love to go back to college when the only thing I had to worry about was football practice, passing my exams, and playing video games. That's quite literally all I had to worry about. And then now it's adulting and all the fun stuff that goes into all of that, right? So again, we can't compare. First and foremost, we cannot compare where we are now to where we used to be, because a lot of times we just have different scenarios, right? We have different circumstances that make it difficult to truly be as ideal as things used to be. All right. So that's like step one, is like throw comparison out the window. It's easy to do. It's normal to do, right? But really give it the context. Like, okay, yes, I used to be more fit, in shape, and I liked my body composition back then, right? But I have kids now, or I have a full-time job now. I work nights, whatever, right? Give yourself the understanding, like, I legitimately don't have the time that I used to have, right? So again, after we give not again, but this is the most important piece, because when you let yourself just understand that, then we can learn to work with what we have now and stop comparing ourselves and beating ourselves up and being a general asshole to ourselves, because we're trying to constantly get back to something that is literally impossible, right? The existence of not having kids is no longer real. So you have kids now, and this is the situation that you have to work with. This is a circumstance that you have to work with, given the situation, and we have to find a way for you to get rolling in the right direction to help you see the physical improvements, take care of your health, and all those things with this scenario now. Right? We can't go back to where we used to be because it's just not possible. All right. So now, again, this is level one. This is like, hey, this is if you don't start here, right, you can skip this part. But this is what most people do. When I said earlier, a lot of us make it a lot harder than it needs to be. We skip this, trying to just get right back into doing everything with the nutrition, doing everything with the fitness, right? And then we realize we don't have as much time to do those things, and we get really frustrated, we get annoyed, we get down on ourselves, and then we stop trying, and then we say it's really hard to get back to where we want to go because you made it harder than it needs to be. If we could just let ourselves realize, okay, I legitimately don't have the time, but I will work with what I have now to practice. Then we work on what we can, or what is available to us. And this is where we get to move on to the next process of this. So first level is start realistically, right? Throw comparison out the window, be realistic with where you are now, right? Accepting where you are now does not mean accepting a failure. It means accepting that, hey, you are accommodating to where you're currently at and not a former version of you, right? You get to build from here instead of making it a lot harder for yourself to stay consistent, right? You get to build off of this new lifestyle and not only get to your goal, right, faster, and I'll get to that in a second, but you're going to be more likely to stay there because you're going to learn how to accommodate for your life now. Right. And since you're working on not looking backwards and comparing as often, you're going to be able to realize, okay, what happened back then isn't possible anymore. But what I can do now is the only thing I can control. So I'm going to work on everything I can control now. Right. And that skill is going to allow you to be able to find success and be prepared no matter what is going on. That's the main goal here. Accommodation and finding progress in every scenario is the two most underrated skills. And these levels, right, of just starting here, being realistic with yourself and giving yourself a general evaluation of what time you do have available gives you a much better starting point, right? And the ability to develop the skills to be able to understand every scenario you're in and not immediately tear yourself down and beat yourself up because you're not as consistent as you used to be. It's like, no, okay, I may not be, but how can I work on where I'm at now? How can I adjust and accommodate to hit certain targets that are realistic for me right now? Because the most important thing needed to see results is to establish consistency. I feel like I've been saying this a lot lately on the show and with all my clients. Like, if we make it harder to find reasons to stay consistent, that's what really makes this whole process way more difficult, right? If we're always trying to compare and work really hard to get back to things that are not feasible, it makes it a lot harder. Okay. So I'm beating this like a dead horse because these are the first most important things that once we accept that we are no longer we're able to live the life that we used to, that maybe that we were a little bit happier or we'd like to get back to, right? And we accept that and we say, okay, what can I do moving forward? Right now we get to pick the targets that are going to be the big fundamental pieces that are going to get you back into the swing of things, that are going to get you right back on track, right? And these things are a lot simpler than you realize. So now that we are accepting that we cannot compare ourselves to our old version of ourselves because it's literally impossible, right? It's literally impossible to go to a time when you had less responsibilities, right? I mean, you could do that, but a lot of people, like, they won't stop taking care of their kids. They won't stop taking care of their bills and their payments, right? Like, they could definitely do those things, but the reality of that, or the likelihood of that actually happening, is very, very, very low. So then we understand, okay, maybe that's not when we understand that we can't go back to that. And then we look at what time we do have. We evaluate, okay, I have 1 or 2 days a week right now that I could realistically find time for exercise, right? I do not have the time to meal prep right now because, one, it's going to be overwhelming and frustrating, right? So maybe I can start practicing meal prep one meal at a time, right? So these things are essentially starting realistically. And maybe actually, before I even go down that, starting realistically is important, but after we've accepted where we're at, I actually had one of my clients do this, and now that I think about it, I gotta send her a message today, make sure she does this homework. But what does your ideal day look like? in the current situation in a way that you believe will help you get to where you want to go physically, right? And will also allow you to spend the time necessary to pay your bills, work your job, take care of people you need to take care of, all those things. What does your ideal day look like? Right? What hobbies do you want to make time for? Do you want to have time for friends or date nights or do anything like that? What does your ideal day look like? Right? Ideal does not mean realistic in this scenario, right? This is just us getting to evaluate where our values are and where we could fit exercise and taking care of our nutrition, right? Because we don't want our life to revolve around fitness. Like that's a very common misconception. I am a health and fitness professional. My life revolves around fitness. I don't need everybody to become a nutrition coach or a lifestyle coach in order to feel to get to where they want to go, right? I want you to understand how to look at what you have going on and find where you can fit those things in so you can get practice, right? Practice is the most important thing. So we want to start with, okay, I'm accepting where I'm at. What does my ideal day look like? Giving all the things, all the responsibilities I have on my plate, where can I fit those things in, right? So I like to have like my clients do time audits, or they like put in an actual calendar of like what would you like to be doing throughout your day? Like where does your work go? Like where does family time go? Where does meal times go? Like what does your ideal day look like? And a lot of us just don't have that concept. But if we can clearly label it out, right? Clearly give ourselves a roadmap, right? It's going to be much easier to compare and give our brain something to tangibly hold on to that we're working for. If we're just always just trying to like do everything all the time, it gets very difficult, it becomes very overwhelming. So if we can just clear that out first and save ourselves the time in the beginning, right? I'm giving you the different approach to getting back on track, right? Most people, are used to just taking lots of action, and I'm okay with action, right? But I'm thinking long term. I want you to start thinking long term. Let's not just try and solve a short term problem that's going to create more long term problems, right? Let's think long term. Let's solve a long term problem, which is establishing a consistent routine, right? And that starts by clearly labeling out what's important to us and how can we spend how would we like to spend our time, and where can we fit in the exercise, the nutrition that's going to set us up for success for the long term, right? So we have that ideal day listed out. Like, okay, so specifically, like, where does work go? Where do make sure you put in your meal times, right? And again, this is just being like, how would you ideally like to spend your time? How many days ideally would you like to work out? How many days would you ideally like to meal prep and eat nutrient dense whole foods, right? Ideally most days, right? But again, we want to just get it all on paper, and then we want to look at it and look at our current schedule, our current lifestyle, and how many of the things that we said on our ideal schedule align on our current schedule, right? Are we sticking with a consistent like meal eating time? Are we sticking with a consistent exercise routine in any way, shape, or form, right? Are we what does our quality of food look like? How often are we eating our own home cooked meals? How often are we eating out, right? And again, this is just giving us the roadmap to say, oh, okay, ideally I'm eating the majority of my meals out. I'm drinking a lot of liquid calories. I've not made any effort for exercise. I basically only get the movement from going to my car, going into the office, walking out of the office, and going home. That's the only movement I get. So it's like, okay, well, my current situation is nowhere close to my ideal day. So now, how can I realistically start piecing together parts of my ideal day into my realistic day, my current day, right? And realistically do that, right? We definitely don't need everything to be in the right place right now, right? Because if we think we have to do that, guess what? How we lose the weight, how we get back in shape is how we have to do it to sustain those results. So if we're doing it in a way that isn't truly sustainable for the long term, you're gonna get frustrated. You may see short-term results, but then you find out it's hard to sustain those things, and then it gets very, very, very difficult in the long run to stay where we want to go. So we start this way. It feels slower, but you're working in ways of getting in the reps. right? Everything takes practice. And if you've been out of the loop and you've had a hard time getting back into shape, getting back in the swing of things, right? Losing or getting back into take care of your health, the body, and getting just consistent with losing weight, right? If you've had a hard time, you've been practicing that. You've been practicing prioritizing everything else other than yourself. So we need to practice the other thing. We need to practice incorporating things that are genuinely going to help you get to your goals that also, make your days better, right? Fitness and nutrition is supposed to make your life better, not harder, right? Improving your relationship with yourself, with your fitness is supposed to make your life better, not harder, right? So if we focus on manageable steps in the beginning, realistic manageable steps, you get more practice. You get to change the reality that you put yourself in because life happens. It's okay, right? This is why I'm making this episode. I work with so many people who are in this scenario. I have this conversation on a regular basis. Where can we realistically start? What are we confident in, right? Are we confident in getting more water throughout the day, getting more steps throughout the day, finding time for at least one form of movement, like specific exercise, right? Are we confident in getting increasing vegetable or fruit intake or protein intake, right? There's so many forms of progress that we can start making, and now I'm speaking now that I'm talking about this, I'll give you the things that when me and my clients are working on this, when we're looking at their life, where I always ask what they're most confident in, because there's generally 5 categories that are going to make this process that we can work on and start practicing. And we can, even if we are consistent with just 1 or 2, right, we can see benefits and positive repercussions from practicing those simple things. But also we're getting confidence, we're building confidence that we can make time for ourselves. We can actually do this instead of always being reminded of how much we can't get done. We're reminding ourselves of how much we can. So the 5 things, right? All right. So again, before progression is no comparison. No comparing yourself to a reality that's no longer feasible, no longer possible, right? Now let's look and say, okay, I can't go back there. My ideal day now that is accommodating for all my responsibilities and making time for myself, right? Now, where can I start? How can I make my realistic day, my current situation day, look a little bit more like my ideal day, right? It's not always a strive to make your current day look exactly like your ideal day, but it gives you an idea of how you would like to spend your time, how you want to create the lifestyle for you, right? So then we take that and we look at our current day, and we start picking categories that will help us improve our current day and make it more of a realistic day, getting more practice in. So the 5 categories that you can start implementing in are hydration, right? Hydration is simple, right? I like to work. I work to get my clients between half a gallon to a gallon of water every single day, right? If you're somewhere in between there, you're usually golden, right? Start somewhere realistic, but this is the general goal that we work towards, right? Wherever my client is, if they're only getting 1 water bottle that's like 12 ounces a day, I'm not jumping them up to a half a gallon. We're going to start slowly increasing that by half a water bottle, 2 water bottle, or if we start with 1, can we get 1.5? Can we now? Cool. If we get 1.5, can we get 2? Right. That's the general progression, right? Daily activity. I work my clients wherever they're at to between 6,000 to 10,000 steps on a regular basis, right? Again, same progression. I don't jump them up there. I make it realistic for them. So I want you to make it realistic for you. Sleep and stress management. I kind of pair these together because they go hand in hand. If you're stressed, you usually have sleep issues. So can we get to bed? Ideally, we like to get between 6 to 8 hours consistently, right? So if we're going to bed super late, waking up super early, can we start working on going to bed earlier? Can we start helping our body wind down at the end of the night, right? Can we sleep in a cooler environment? Can we buy blackout curtains so we don't have as much light that's affecting our sleep? Can we make time throughout the day to help get away from our desk and go through deep breathing exercises, or a hobby that just helps relax you, right? Those are all like forms of progress that we can use in sleep and stress management, and that again we can work into our current day. Exercising in a way that you enjoy is number 4, right? Ideally, all I want my clients to do is work out 2 to 4 times a week in a way that is going to help them with their goals and they genuinely enjoy, right? So if they have a muscle building goal but they hate resistance training, They need to either evaluate their goal or start realistically and start learning the basics of that. But again, that's the main general category. And then the last one is food quality, right? How often, right? What's the percentage of meals that you eat your own food, right? This is a big one, because really we only need to be consistent 80% of the time with our nutrient dense options, right? Nutrient dense and calorie dense, the biggest difference, this is, healthy and unhealthy, quote unquote. Calorie dense foods just are easy to overconsume. Nutrient dense foods have vitamins and minerals and are a little bit harder to overconsume. You can still gain weight eating nothing but quote unquote healthy food, right? But if we can improve the food quality, meaning we add voluminous foods that are full of nutrient dense and quality nutrient dense options that are like fiber, protein, vitamins, minerals. This is usually found in proteins, veggies, and fruits, and then complex carbohydrates that are usually carbs that come from the ground, right? Rice, quinoa, couscous, oats, stuff like that, right? You're going to give your body a lot of nutrients that are going to help you improve energy, feel better, let go of body fat easier, and support muscle stimulation and growth once we start with those qualities. So, like I'm going to give this one's usually the biggest one, but there's a lot of categories that can improve on, like getting 3 to 4 servings of protein a day, 2 to 4 servings of veggies, 1 to 2 servings of fruit, 2 to 4 servings of complex carbohydrates, right? And if you're in that general range for all those categories, about 80% of the time, guess what? You're probably in a deficit. You're probably seeing results on the scale, and you're probably feeling better, right? So those 5 categories: hydration, sleep and stress management, daily movement, exercise in a way that you enjoy, and food quality, right? Those are all the ways that I'm working with my clients to help them get to a point where they feel better, they believe they've built consistency, and they believe that they can stay consistent no matter what's going on. And this is how we build their ideal routine, their ideal day, by in those categories, right? Sounds like a lot, right? But there's so many more things that you could be doing than just meal prepping once a week and eating the same fucking chicken, rice, and broccoli and working out every single day and then trying to get 10,000 steps every single day. There's so much room for improvement that you will get benefits from each of those categories. And when we can focus on the one that we're most confident in. So if you're most confident in getting more water throughout your day, start there. If you're most confident in getting a little bit more activity throughout your day, start there. If you're most confident in getting at least 1 serving of protein in every meal, start there. There's so many options that you can look at your current day and say, well, this is going to be the easiest, and I'm the most confident I will be able to actually do this right now. And it just adds, you have more layers to add on throughout the day, and you get to practice a couple things at a time that will work for your schedule. Instead of trying to do everything all at once, you actually approach this in a realistic manner. And yes, this is kind of getting back to the swing of things, but it's shifting away from doing everything all at once right now to focusing on just a couple things that you're confident in accomplishing. And when you do that, you practice more, you practice a new reality. You practice the fact that no matter what's going on, you can still find progress, and you can take where you're currently at, no matter how long you've been away from trying, and make improvements moving forward, right? So that's the next step, right? No more comparison. Compare idealistic to current day, and then start creating a realistic day based off those 5 categories, right? And now you have a roadmap of doing this, because a lot of times when I'm working with clients, this is what we focus on before we ever start talking about macros or calories, right? I'm just helping them. This is the more in-depth version of eating less and moving more. This is not about how little can I eat to lose weight, how much exercise do I need to lose weight. This is how can I increase my daily movement on a much more regular basis? How can I help support my body with exercise? How can I improve my nutrient density that's going to improve my how can I add more nutrient dense options that are going to make me feel more satisfied, more energized, and less likely to snack and calorically consume less? And this is where we start to see the physical improvements, right? How can I start training in a way that's going to help me feel better in my day-to-day activities, and also stimulate my body, tell my body what I want to see, right? Your exercise is important, right? Your exercise tells your body what you want to see on your body. So if you want to build muscle tone and you're running every single day, you're sending the wrong signal. So again, this is all these things that help us. I can do a masterclass on each of these 5 categories, but all of these are going to help us pick a realistic map that will allow us to pick up and get back on the wagon, get back on track, without having to do everything all at once. And I'm giving you all of this so that you have a roadmap, right? I'm giving you every single thing I work with my clients on, right? Everything. I'm like, this is it. Like, that's as we go through that process and they have that realistic lifestyle, then we introduce calories, and understanding why they're seeing the results that they are, or why not they're seeing the results that they are. But calories and hitting certain goals is much more effective when we improve our foundation first. Right. So this is me helping you get back on track and develop a foundation, like if a foundation where you'll never fall off the path ever again, right? And if you do, you know exactly how to get back on the path, right? You're not a train. You're not on track or off track, right? I like to think of it like a windy hiking trail, right? You have to follow the path, which is nice and easy. There's a couple rocks or a couple logs in the way. You just gotta climb over them, right? But when you walk off trail, then it gets really bumpy and very difficult to navigate. It's kind of hard, and we get lost in the woods, right? So I'm giving you the ability to find the path again. And it doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be super unrealistic that makes it hard for you to practice these simple things that will essentially make you feel better, more energized, improve your body composition, and not have everything change all at once. I'm basically I'm condensing down what I do with my clients in 3 to 12 months, in however long this episode of the podcast is. But I want to give you it, right? Because I want you to know, like, this is the secret. There's no like one size fits all. There's no one thing that we have to do. There's no like you have to do keto, you have to do paleo. There's fundamental pieces that will help support your body, make you feel better. And when you feel better, you're going to stay more consistent with doing those things. And when you're more consistent, you're more likely to see those results. Right. And this is the most important thing here. So when we're trying to get back on track, thinking long term, right, picking realistic areas that we're confident in, that we can allow us to build up the momentum to eventually one day get to an ideal routine that we like doing, right? Maybe it looks a lot more like our ideal day. Maybe our ideal day was a bit too extreme, but as we started realistically, we built an ideal day and ideal routine that allows us to see the results and feel great at the same time, and not feel like we're super restricted, because we only need to be consistent 80% of the time. 80% of the time. 25 days out of every month. That's it. That's what consistency is, right? That's about 5 days a month, 4 to 5 days a month that you get to enjoy life, birthdays, holidays. What is that? About a month and a half, 2 months every year. I believe my math is correct. What is that? 12. I don't know. We'll say a month and a half to be safe. But still, a month and a half every year to enjoy your life the way that you want. And then a routine that helps you feel better, that allows you to sustain the results, right? So really, I kind of combined a couple concepts I want to talk about today. The first is get out of your own way and start realistically, right? That's all that matters. And then thinking long term, how can you set yourself up so there's no like extended period of time where you completely forgo and give up on your results, right? So I always tell this to my clients. They usually get a lot more from me when they when they start working with me. Because I want you to know, like, this is not just a one size fits all. It's not just a simple answer. Yeah, I could have simplified this. This whole episode could have been 2 minutes. Say, hey, just get started, which is true. I'm all for just get started, right? But I want to give you the actual map, the actual roadmap that's going to not only help you get started, but sustain and get to your goal, right? It's no longer about, okay, I'm off, I'm on, I'm off, I'm on. I want you to get on and stay on, right? But on is on and off is relative, right? Sometimes you're more on the path, and that's okay. Sometimes you're off the path, that's okay. How do we walk back? And this is how we get there. Right. And as you work up to those ideal 5 categories, however that fits into your day to day, right, then you can worry about calories. This is when I usually introduce calories for my clients. Then this is when I introduce like intensity and training styles to my clients, because now they've proven that they can be consistent. And once consistency is proven, then your workouts, then your nutrition is only going to amplify. Then it will truly amplify your results, and you'll create everything that you want because you're doing the number one thing needed to see results first. And then you know how to push, you know how to rest as you're doing those things as they fit into your life. Right. So this is my favorite thing to do is create this harmonious relationship with everything going on in your life that's going to give you the results. So you know sometimes it's okay to dial it in, and sometimes it's okay to rest. Sometimes it's okay to focus on simple things. And simple, people have simplicity and small steps like all wrong. Right. That's like, if I don't do as much as possible, I won't see the results fast enough. But if you've been neglecting this for 30 years, right, if you do simple things consistently, you'll likely see a lot of results pretty quickly. But in your head, you're trying to make this a lot harder than it needs to be. You think everything has to go all at once, and then you create a lifestyle. Hey, this is why I did. You create a lifestyle that's not conducive to the way that you want to live. You feel trapped by your body and your goals, and you don't feel able to truly enjoy the things that you want to in your life because you created a prison, because you did things that weren't truly realistic to the way that you want to live. So this is something I love talking about, obviously. I know I only planned on this being like a 15-minute episode, but I kept going. But I hope it made sense. I hope you learned something. And as always, if you want more clarification, more clarity, feel free to message me. I try to get back to all the messages that are sent, and I want to just help clear up the scenario as easily as possible so that you can find the steps that you will be able to take, feel confident in taking them, and see the results because of it. So yeah, I think that's all I got for you today. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day or night whenever you listen to this, and I'll see you on the next one.